Mame fa say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Speaker, we simply did not. I choose my words carefully. Commensurate infrastructure. If you had a school which admitted 2,400, the school today is 4,500 with the same boarding facility, the same lecture theater, what do you expect that school to do? So this is not Haruna Iddrisu, or Minister for Education. Yet a worthy initiative, transformative initiative, but you did not accompany it with commensurate infrastructure of classrooms and dormitories. I stand by it today and tomorrow. That is a fact. You didn't. That is why this government is correcting it. President Mahama have authorized the Minister for Finance and the World Bank only 3 weeks ago approved the $300 million facility, the StarJ program.
Honourable members, we then come back to questions or question time. Honourable members, some questions have been scheduled for the minister responsible for education to respond to. He's seated, and therefore, without much ado, I call on Honorable Damata Ama Apianima Salam, Member of Parliament for Efija Kwabre South, to pose question numbered 422.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. With your permission and pursuant to the order 883, I rise to ask question number 422, standing in the name of Honorable Hajiada Mata.
Go ahead.
Hajiada Mata Apianima Salam, to ask the Education Minister what broader strategies the ministry is adapting to improve the welfare of teachers, particularly those posted in the rural areas. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to respond to the question standing in the name of the member for Efija Kwabre South, Ms. Damata. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service, is implementing a number of targeted strategies to improve the welfare, motivation, and retention of teachers across the country, particularly those posted to rural and underserved areas. Teacher welfare is positioned as a national priority to strengthen their motivation, dignity, and retention, and for long-term education outcome gains. As part of government efforts to attract, motivate, and retain teachers in deprived and underserved communities, special incentives have been put in place for teachers who accept posting to such areas. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note that one of these incentives is a reduction in the number of years required to qualify for study leave. Originally, it was 3 years if you are in a deprived area. We have reduced it now to 2 years. So any person who accepts posting to a rural deprived area after 2 years of service can apply for study leave with pay. We also are engaged in continuous education and capacity building of teachers across the country. In addition, Mr. Speaker, government is committed to roll out a 20% salary we assured for rural posting allowance for teachers serving in rural and deprived areas. And the Ministry of Finance, GS, and the Ministry of Education is working as implementing that. Mr. Speaker, a significant thing that affects the welfare of teachers is their shelter, housing. We are currently engaged in some discussion to deploy the Teacher Dabre initiative of President Mahama, which was in the NDC manifesto, which will provide accommodation for teachers in rural areas to address the housing challenges that often affect teacher deployment and retention in those areas. Under this initiative, deliberate measures are being taken to ensure that the construction of new school facilities is accompanied by teacher accommodation. So this time we've directed that if contracts are awarded for school blocks, it necessarily must include an accommodation facility for the teacher as part of government effort. Mr. Speaker, the Teacher Dabre initiative is led by the administrator of the District Assembly Common Fund. We want it to be as decentralized as possible. What the government of Ghana through the Ministry of Education will provide would be our pension fund, referred to as GSOP, which currently has about 12 billion standing that can be used as collateral to roll out the Teacher Dabre initiative. So we are working together. Yesterday, I briefed the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing that we need a joint cabinet memo of the Minister for Finance, Minister for Education, Minister for Works and Housing, and local government to get the roadmap to the implementation of the Teacher Dabre initiative. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask Minister for Education how the ministry is collaborating with the local authorities and the government agencies to improve living and working conditions of rural teachers. Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are working to improve the condition of teachers across the country. In fact, Mr. Speaker, for the record, this government can be credited with what we call a new scheme of service for officers working under the Ghana Education Service. Mr. Speaker, originally, promotion was tied to office. We have the couple that teachers who have served long will enjoy their promotion regardless whether office was there or not, and it will be supported by accompanying privileges and facilities for them. So we are generally working to improve the welfare of teachers. Currently, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is engaged in some negotiation with teacher unions across the country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any further question?
No, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. We move to question numbered 424, standing in the name of Honorable Rafoku Edusei, Member of Parliament for Bekwai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise under Order 88.3. I have the authority by the...
Please do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Education the rationale behind the reduction in the public school quota for placement in grade A senior high school from 30% to 50% for 2025 BEC candidates, and how this aligns with Article 25(1) of the 1992 Constitution, guaranteeing equal educational opportunities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to respond to question 424 in the name of Honorable Rafoku Edusei, Member for Bekwai. Mr. Speaker, Article 25(1) of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana guarantees that all persons shall have the right to equal educational opportunities and facilities, with a view to achieving the full realization of that right. Basic education shall be free, compulsory, and available to all. This constitutional provision underpins government's commitment to ensuring that every Ghanaian child has equitable access to quality basic education, irrespective of socioeconomic background, geographic location, or the type of basic school attended. Mr. Speaker, the placement of candidates into senior high school under the computerized school selection and placement system, the CSSPS, is guided by the principle of fairness, merit, transparency, and equity, while academic performance remains the primary basis for placement. Government also takes into account the need to ensure balanced access to quality secondary education for all categories of learners. Mr. Speaker, for the 2025 placement exercise, a total of 734,382 vacancies were declared across all senior high schools and senior high technical schools and technical and vocational institutions. 70 private senior high schools were included in this year's placement process for the first time, at least to expand access. These private institutions collectively declared 25,500 vacancies. Their strategic inclusion helped ease the congestions in public schools as part of our effort to phase out the double track system. Mr. Speaker, the double track system undoubtedly is affecting the delivery of the quality of secondary education and does not allow for sufficient student-to-people contact, teacher-to-people contact, or teacher-to-learner or student contact. But, Mr. Speaker, historically, there are imbalances in the provision of quality secondary education. You essentially cannot compare the quality of Achimota or Wesley Girls to maybe Buaku Secondary School or Bunkurugu Yonyo Primary School. That is a fact of a historical imbalance in the provision of adequate, equitable secondary education facility. But, Mr. Speaker, there remains a strong bias towards Category A schools, with 65%, 393,593 of candidates choosing them as their first choice. So you have Category A. Every parent, every student wants a Category A school. Yet available vacancies is only 76,537. So it means of the 393,000, we are likely to disappoint 200,000 of those applicants. Not the doing of government, because we have not sufficiently provided for adequate infrastructure for the senior high schools across the country. A significant cause of placement challenge each year. Mr. Speaker, approximately 141,637 students choose Category B schools as their first choice, despite the available capacity of about 32.5%, which is around 284,607 of the total vacancies. However, Category C schools represent over half, 53% of total vacancies, and only 68,509 students select Category school. So, Mr. Speaker, every student wants a Category A school, or at worst, under the circumstance, a Category B schools. Mr. Speaker, that is why we designed the Star J initiative, which I reported here, Mr. Speaker, at my last appearance, that the World Bank is supporting us with $300 million to build at least 10 new senior high schools across the country, including technical and vocational institutions. We will also retool and re-equip and rehabilitate about 150 secondary schools across the country. That I'm awaiting the Minister of Finance, then we get a joint cabinet memo and walk it back to Parliament for Parliament consideration. Mr. Speaker, free senior high school education policy on placement, especially for elite school, stipulates that 30% of the declared vacancies in Category A. So now we are saying that even the community where the school is, they must have room to support students from that particular area. This is part of our affirmative action policy. Mr. Speaker, the opportunity for senior high school has expanded highly in Ghana. An analysis of the 2025 computerized school selection and placement system outcomes indicate that the policy objective was substantially achieved. And indeed, 123,309 candidates were placed in Category A senior high schools. 71,406 were graduates of public basic schools, representing 57.91% of total placement, while 51,000 graduates of private basic schools accounted for 42%. These results, Mr. Speaker, demonstrates that the placement exercise not only met the policy requirement of reserving at least 30% of vacancies for public basic school graduates, but it significantly surpassed it. Public basic school graduates received nearly 6 out of every 10 placements in all Category A schools across the country, reflecting the effective implementation of the affirmative action provision. Mr. Speaker, we are currently revising the CSSPS so that we have an improved portal to allow for more transparency and equity in it. But the truth is, if we want to do it right, we must expand and invest more in the infrastructure of secondary schools across the country. Both dormitories and classrooms will have to be provided for. I thank you.
Any supplementary question?
No, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Yes.
Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Minister, from your answer to the question on equipping the 150 schools, you say you have $300 million from the World Bank to equip 150 schools. Is it your case that the mere provision of the equipment to the schools will raise the schools to category A school? If not, what do you think will make a category C school achieve the status of a category A school? Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Ministry of Education and GES, if you want to expand access to senior secondary education, we must do it right with accompanied infrastructure development. Mr. Speaker, the free senior high school was introduced 2017-2018, but unaccompanied by commensurate infrastructure support over the 8-year period. We simply didn't invest in infrastructure in the schools. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we simply did not, I choose my words carefully, commensurate infrastructure. If you had a school which admitted 2,400, the school today is 4,500 with the same boarding facility, the same lecture theater, what do you expect that school to do? So this is not Haruna Iddrisu, Minister for Education. Yet a worthy initiative, transformative initiative, but you did not accompany it with commensurate infrastructure of classrooms and dormitories. I stand by it today and tomorrow. That is a fact. You didn't. That is why this government is correcting it. President Mahama have authorized the Minister for Finance and the World Bank only 3 weeks ago approved the $300 million facility, the Start J program, to expand infrastructure in secondary schools across the country. Mr. Speaker, sooner than later, the advert will be out and the procurement processes will accompany it to expand the infrastructure. Some of our colleagues in this chamber will benefit from those interventions, either by way of new school block or a rehabilitation and or equipping and retooling of their infrastructure. I thank you.
Honourable members, let's move to question number 479, standing in the name of Honourable Fred Asamoah, Member of Parliament for Ofinsu North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to ask a question that I filed exactly a year ago. I filed this question on the 2nd of July 2025, and I'm happy to be given the opportunity to ask the question today. So I asked the Minister for Education to clarify why 22 institutions have been deemed ineligible for national service by GTEC, and what step the ministry is implementing to support the students of the said institutions.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to respond to the Honourable Dr. Fred Asamoah. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission is established by the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 2020, Act 1023, as the sole agency regulating all tertiary education institutions in Ghana. Its mandate is to regulate, assure quality, and shape a world-class tertiary education system that responds to national needs and global standards. It remains resolute in safeguarding academic credibility, strengthening institutional accountability, and expanding equitable access to relevant high-quality education. Mr. Speaker, the students who graduate from unaccredited institutions are not allowed to do national service according to GTEC and the National Service Authority. However, the ministry through the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has resolved the situation by ensuring that all institutions have been duly accredited and their graduates enrolled onto the National Service Scheme. So simply, Mr. Speaker, at the time that GTEC declared them unaccredited institutions, we could not give legitimacy to their students doing national service. Once you are not accredited, you are not accredited. We must ensure fidelity and respect to the laws of Ghana. I thank you.
Any supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to follow up. The minister just said that the issues have been resolved. So if these issues have been resolved and fixed, how does the minister explain GTEC's own notice? Just 2 months ago, GTEC notified this nation that additional 60 institutions are unrecognized and unaccredited. So this question that I asked a year ago is being asked today.
Honourable member asks supplementary question.
So I would like to ask the minister why additional 60 institutions are being flagged by the GTEC if these issues have been resolved.
Yes.
Speaker, those institutions have not met the minimum accreditation requirements of GTEC, and GTEC is the regulatory body. They are accordingly required to enforce strictly, because if accreditation fails, the quality of our graduates will limp, Mr. Speaker, and therefore we fully support GTEC in what they are doing. If you go through, there's course accreditation and there's institutional accreditation. What we expect institutions to do, particularly many of the private institutions, they just in breach, don't respect the requirement of GTEC. And I think that the Director General is up to the task. He is fully enforcing it. Minister, my work is policy. Regulation is that of GTEC, and he's doing it according to his mandate. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any further question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The minister in his answer mentioned public caution to students and parents, even though additional institutions...
Honorable Che Asamoah asks supplementary question.
So my question to the minister is that beyond the public caution, what structural changes has the ministry made so that we can avoid these additional unaccredited
Honorable
institutions?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, is anybody desirous of establishing an institution of higher learning, particularly private, must endeavor to respect Act 1023, respond to the minimum standard required for accreditation, both courses and institutional, by GTEC. GTEC will thoroughly examine it, and where necessary, they will grant the particular accreditation. Mr. Speaker, only last week, I had the ambassador of Cyprus, resident in Nigeria, who came into caution about some institutions of higher learning between the borders of Turkey and Cyprus, and the confusion of Ghanaian students having access to those institutions without clarity from the Cyprus government. And they raised objection that the government of Ghana must provide such clarity what to do. So apart from the public caution, we should stay to the standards of accreditation. Mr. Speaker, he can learn from the professor in front of him who used to chair the National Accreditation Board. No compromise if you don't meet minimum requirements for accreditation. whether course or institution, it must be strictly enforced by GTEC, and that they will do. I thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Minister, looking at the fact that the students who may end up in these schools will not know whether the schools are properly accredited or not, we will find out what structural changes from the ministry are available to ensure that these institutions don't even run at all. That is what we want to do, real-time structural changes that will protect students.
Honourable Minister, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, government will not encourage the mushrooming of tertiary educational institutions. Our policy remains access, quality, and relevance. Mr. Speaker, it's for this reason that I came to Parliament, and I should thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members, to grant charter as an optional path for institutions providing tertiary education at the private level. Hitherto, they had 10 years to either comply or we close them. Can you imagine if we were to close all the private universities in Ghana, what crisis and chaos would be in? That's why I came to Parliament and asked that we make charter optional. But Mr. Speaker, even within that, many of the universities are going through mentorship, but they still must uphold the highest standards when it comes to accreditation. Mr. Speaker, a number of nurses training colleges are just emerging. What's the quality of the nurses that they are training? Does it meet our standards? So GTEC must move in to enforce that you don't have a nurse who will smile at a patient dying because that nurse have not been trained well. I think that we should get things right, and we must get it right with accreditation. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, we then move to question numbered 483, standing in the name of Honourable Charles Asiedu, Member of Parliament for Tano South.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education the current status and the plan for the ministry for the completion of the following Get Fund finance infrastructure projects at St. Joseph's College of Education in Bechem, a 2-story dormitory block, a 2-story administration block, and a 3-story students hostel. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank the Honourable Charles Asiedu, Member for Tano South, for the question. Mr. Speaker, the upgrading of teacher training colleges into colleges of education in Ghana was driven by a strategic policy to improve quality and development and strengthen teacher education across the country to improve learning outcomes across Ghana's education system. The initiative was deliberate reform to strengthen teacher quality, professionalism, and improve basic and secondary higher education outcomes, thereby supporting national socio-economic development. The Sir Joseph College of Education is one of the 49 colleges of education in Ghana. The college is located in Bechem in the Ahafo region, has a total enrollment population of 13,634 female and 668 male, 1,302. Mr. Speaker, Sir Joseph College of Education has 3 Get Fund sponsored projects ongoing, namely a 2-story dormitory block, 2-story administration block, and 2-story student hostel. The construction of the 2-story dormitory block was awarded in June 2015 to Measures Cater Company Limited at a contract sum of $2,157,995. The project is being supervised by Measures PPMC. Works is at 60% complete, and payment made to the contractor $1,166,165.78. Mr. Speaker, the construction of the 2-story admin block was awarded also in August 2015 to Measures Petaco Company Limited, Melon Castle Limited at a contract sum of 2.9 billion. The project is being supervised by Measures PPMC. Works on the project stands at 60% completion. Payment made to the contractor 1,337,861. 1 million, sorry. The construction of the 3-story student hostel facility was awarded to Measures Hydronomics Limited at a contract sum of 10,016,068.15. The project is 15% complete and the contractor has not raised interim certificate. Mr. Speaker, simply, if a contract was awarded in 2015, it will be unattractive for the contractor to be aside 10 years on if it's not completed because of cost variation, and it's not likely to be profitable for the contractor. So there's no incentive to do work. Mr. Speaker, we will revise this project and get it ongoing for the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, we have taken a major policy decision to establish a new teacher training college in Ezinlibe in the Ezima area of the Western region, and then to expand the teacher training college for Bole. The GET Fund has commenced some work on these two institutions. What we will need to do is to replicate what we are doing for Bole for the school. So, honorable member, be assured that we will get the consultants to go and review it, and then we may have to re-award the contract. But you should get infrastructure similar to what we have given Bole, the Bole Training College. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, any supplementary question? Honourable members, the background noise is too much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister for Education kindly assist the House with timeline as to when the contractor returned to site? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, Honourable Minister. I'll give you the chance.
Mr. Speaker, the last time I appeared before this House, I assured you
Honourable members, can we listen to the answer?
Mr. Speaker, I assured you that about 27 GET Fund projects were under review. The Honourable Deputy Minister Clement Apak is chairing an entity tender to review the numbers and will re-award some of it. As I stated, Mr. Speaker, if you awarded a contract in 2015, you expect the contractor to work in 2026 at the same contract value. I don't think that is a good incentive enough. It also cautions us as government that we must make sure that when we initiate projects, we get them completed on time. What would be the explanation for 10 years that this project was uncompleted? Probably abandoned because there was change in government. That should not be an acceptable practice for the development of the country. Thank you.
I realize that the Minister of Interior gave an alert and advisory to all citizens, especially in and around Accra, to stay home, and we're able to do this very early. Mr. Speaker, we believe that that has contributed largely into minimizing the kind of crisis that we could have had. Because if all persons around that rush hour were in traffic where they could not turn around and other things, and worst case, maybe fire gutted into it, maybe we'll have been counting much losses than we are seeing today. Mr. Speaker, there were a number of fires that also came with yesterday's rain. We have the Odona market that there a lot of makeshift structures were burnt. We also had fire in Tema. We had, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I want to give some of the statistics that we received. Odona market, yes, the fire came in around 8:08 in the morning, just around the peak of the rain, and we did all we could, but it came under control at 11:33, almost midnight, and we're able to finally put it off around 2:32 a.m. this morning. Mr. Speaker, we also had fire in Tema, but fortunately, it wasn't. We didn't lose any life. It wasn't also very severe because we were able to deal with it. There was also a newly built 4-floor house that collapsed Fortunately, at Tabola, fortunately, no life was lost because all the occupants left the building before it collapsed. Mr. Speaker, all these statistics, since yesterday, His Excellency the President of the Republic had to fly over to see the extent of the damage, and this morning, graciously, last night, the President instructed that from their contingency fund, we should be able to access some money. And I'm happy to state, I know the Finance Committee may come and brief the floor and give much details. A total amount of 350 million is being targeted to be used to help in dealing with the challenges that we have. Mr. Speaker, the President has instructed that 200 million will be targeting relief items to this close to over 10,000 households that have been affected across the whole coast. And the 150 will be used to mitigate the flood issues within this, the coastal area. Mr. Speaker, I must admit, when you look at Act 927, that's the National Disaster Management Organization Act. When you look at Section 21 of the Act, it clearly stipulates the Disaster Management Committee. And in the Disaster Management Committee, Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, we have almost all the relevant agencies being there, and it is chaired by the Minister for the Interior. As we speak, a meeting has been called at the presidency involving all these ministers to come so that we put our heads together and make sure that we deal with the issue. Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, Section 21, National Disaster Management Committee. There is established a National Disaster Management Committee. The National Disaster Management Committee is subject to subsection 3, comprises A, the Minister for the Interior as chairperson, Director General, that's for the Director Generals of the NADMO, that's National Disaster Management Committee, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Director General of the National Ambulance, the Chief Directors of each of the following ministries: Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Ministry of Information and Media Relations, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Inspector General of Police, the Chief Fire Officer, the Chairperson of the National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction, Climate Change Management, one representative of the Consortium of Non-Governmental Organizations, one representative of the Interagency Standing Committee of the United Nations Country Team, one representative of the Ghana Federation of Disabled, and the legal officer of the National Disaster Management Organization as secretary. Mr. Speaker, we are of the view that we don't need to only go there with our chief directors. We want the ministers themselves to be there with the support of their chief directors, so that we give it the necessary attention that it requires. Mr. Speaker, we want to assure this House that these resources that is being extended to this committee will make sure that it is put to the best of use. We have even started the move with the acting defense minister that we should put our 48 engineers regiment in place to use the resources in making sure that all those clearance that needs to be done is done by the 48 engineers, so that we do not have to waste time in going through procurement challenges and all that. So we'll be using our own military to carry out as much as possible all they can be able to do. So, Mr. Speaker, yes, we've lost 12 lives, which is very unfortunate. I want to believe that as a country, we probably have to work very hard to ensure that we minimize these losses. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak on one of our prominent media houses, and I said, disasters will always come. It is how prepared you are that will determine the amount of loss that may be occurred. Because, Mr. Speaker, today, and I'm saying it not to water down the effect, but just to draw all of us attention, that America is the richest country in the world. And one of its richest states is California. California state is the richest state in America. In fact, standing on its own, is the sixth largest economy in the world. Yet they had disaster and people lost their life. But they have all the money, they have all the measures. We are not using this as an excuse. Water will always come, but we must do what we can as people. And we are looking at this as a whole of government and a whole of society approach. We are looking at it as a whole of government and a whole of society approach, where individuals will have to take their responsibility, assemblies have to take their responsibility, those of us in government will have to take our responsibility and work very hard to ensure that we do not lose life unnecessarily. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the House for the audience, and I hope that in our contribution we will make sure that we do not degenerate this into politicking when our people are dying and people really need relief. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, leaders.
And it has been partisan, politicized each year and each year. And we make huge political capitals. When we come, we renege on the works. Mr. Speaker, you made huge political capital from this work. But you came and reneged. Mr. Speaker, I heard the president yesterday mentioning and instructing the finance minister to allocate 300 million for the flood issues. Mr. Speaker, I am concerned. 350 million. Mr. Speaker, I am concerned. You see, I am concerned because when the Akosomo and the Tong water or flooding issues happened, Mr. Speaker, the 2025 budget made allocation for them and it didn't go. The 2026 added another allocation, it didn't go. When the cocoa issue came, the president again directed the Minister of Finance to make allocation for cocoa farmers. From November last year to this year, July this year, the money hasn't gone. So I am very concerned about another directive that has been made. Whether that one is also going to be another political cliche. We must demonstrate and show action, not just talk, not just the gimmicks. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we stop the gimmickry, we stop the settings, we stop the scam and deal with the issues well. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to urge that we be sincere to the Ghanaian people in dealing with this flood matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful.
I proceed to give the floor to Honorable Zaneto Ajiman Rollins.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the statements made by honourable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, since I came into Parliament in 2017, this is an issue that I have reiterated on many occasions, including mentioning the reasons why we have the flooding. I think there's no doubt in anybody's mind that this incident from yesterday was a black swan event that occurred in the entire sub-region. And it certainly should guide the engineering strategy that will look at this solution for the flooding in Accra and perhaps in the rest of the country. On our probability matrix, what happened yesterday would have been considered once upon a time a low probability and a high impact event. But given the impact of climate change, it would appear that we have to put this on the high probability, high impact, which means that that is where a lot of our resources must be focused. Mr. Speaker, I would like to extend my condolences to the bereaved families, but also to commend the service staff from the security service staff from the Ghana Police Service, especially the Marine Police, the Ghana National Fire Service, the 48 engineers, the Ghana Navy, NADMO, and of course, the Osu fishermen who came over with their canoes from the Osu side to the Adabraka side to help in the rescue efforts. We did lose some persons in the constituency, unfortunately, and as the minister did mention, thousands have been displaced from their homes. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the fire in the Odorna market raged on for almost 24 hours because the fire service could not access the location where the fire occurred. As a result of that, many people, after the fact of having been displaced from their homes, have lost their livelihoods, many who will end up in debt. So we are grateful for the government's efforts in trying to mitigate the impact of such devastating loss to the lives of these persons. Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, there is, under the NADMO Act, supposed to be the National Disaster Management Fund, which is supposed to do, amongst other things, help in providing the various agencies with the disaster risk management, as well as climate resilience, and being able to anticipate some of what we expect to come with regards to what is going on globally with climate change. Mr. Speaker, this disaster fund must be operational in order to support such things. We could not control the amount of rainfall that we had, but going into the future, given what we have seen the extent of the damage can be, the engineering has to take that into consideration. And just in response to the fact that a couple of colleagues have spoken to the issue of the Garrett Fund, I would like to mention that a few years ago, when our colleague, the Honorable Asenso, was the minister, he did come to Odorna and he addressed the Odorna garages, the members of the garages, and he did assure that a certain amount of work was going to be done. Unfortunately, a few days afterwards, he mentioned before Parliament that the money had been reassigned to COVID. Mr. Speaker, I think that at this point, if it would be to your pleasure, that the NADMO be asked to come before either the Defense and Interior Committee or before the House to actually give a full account of what happened yesterday, a detailed account of what their challenges are, what they anticipate would be required in such an event happening again, given that we're expecting more rainfall, and what it is that Parliament can do in terms of supporting the efforts of allocating resources to the fund. Mr. Speaker, what happened yesterday was an absolute disaster, which we hope will not occur again. And we hope that as we bring all our resources together, given the expediency that the Finance Committee has shown, that the relevant resources will be given to the security agencies that are required to actually help in the building, the restoration of some of these areas. If only to mention that the enforcement of our laws must be taken as a very important.
I will then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Phyllis Ofosu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing a very serious problem. Tens of thousands of our compatriots find themselves in a dire situation. They are displaced. In other words, their regular places of abode have been taken away from them through natural causes. Over 7,000 households find themselves in distress. 12 people have been confirmed to have lost their lives, and 7 people remain missing as we speak. So, Mr. Speaker, just like the Ecclesiastes says in the Bible, we must understand that there is time for everything. This is not the time for misguided politicking and vacuous political rhetoric intended to achieve political ends, short-term sectarian ends. It is the reason why I'm surprised about some of the claims being made by our colleagues on the other side. For some reason, we are told that there is some lack of coordination. Mr. Speaker, it is a contrived position. The committee set up by the President to coordinate efforts to tackle flooding has not in any way resulted in a lack of coordination. There is nothing wrong with putting together a team to help address an existing problem. As they themselves will be clearly aware, This is a multi-sectorial issue, and therefore there are multiple agencies at play. So coordination led by a deputy chief of staff is in order. No evidence exists of this lack of coordination. It must be placed on record. So at the time when our compatriots are suffering, we do not expect such untrue claims to be made. Mr. Speaker, it has also been claimed that this government has waited for flooding before releasing money for relief. Mr. Speaker, who releases money for relief in advance of the occurrence of the problem? You can only relieve people who are in distress. Yesterday, when I issued a statement, or this morning when I issued a statement on behalf of His Excellency the President, I stated clearly that parts of the money will go towards providing relief for the 38,000 people who are displaced. That could not have been known last week or the week before. Again, another 150 million Ghana cedis is programmed to help address problems brought on by the flooding, which can lead to more flooding. So there's nothing wrong with mitigating the impact of further rainfall. And Mr. Speaker, we are not talking about normal rainfall. We are talking about 170 millimeters of rain in a space of 13 hours. Mr. Speaker, the whole of last year, June, only 56 millimeters of rainfall was recorded. The whole month of June last year. This year, in just 13 hours, 2 days ago, 170 millimeters of rain fell. It is an extraordinary situation that could not have been foreseen, and is the reason why the impact appears to be bigger. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues are also rankled that in the past they were held responsible for flooding. If you stay in power for 8 years, you have no excuse than to take responsibility for flooding, a problem that you should have solved within that period. They claim that they committed hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis to addressing it. Mr. Speaker, what was the outcome of that expenditure? How do you spend hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis on resolving a problem only for it to get worse? It means that the money was either not properly utilized or the wrong approach was adopted. So every Ghanaian citizen has the right to carpet you and criticize you for failure after 8 years. Nobody is going to give you a bouquet of flowers. We won't pour gold, frankincense on myrrh on you for failing within 8 years to address the problem. But President Mahama has agreed that it is his responsibility as president to address this problem, and therefore he is going to take steps, very drastic steps, to address it. We just need to give him our support and a bit of time to address the issue comprehensively as he intends to do. That really is the tone that we should be adopting in this discussion, and not the usual grandstanding that we engage in. Nobody expects that a decades-old problem will be addressed within 1.5 years. It is not a full expectation to have. In light of the resources required.
I think your time is up. Your time is up. It's now the turn of Samia Oku. You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let me begin by also commending the makers of the various statements, particularly that of the Honorable Asensi Boache, who has institutional memory about some of the issues that was particularly discussed during his tenure. And my wonderful friend and chairman, Oti Bless. Mr. Speaker, let's be clear on one thing, that under the previous Mahama government, of which my good friend and brother Felix Kwachiofosu was part, on a single night in June 2015, we lost over 150 lives. Single night. Then the Ghanaian people asked them to retire in 2016. They spent 8 years studying what the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government was initiating and implementing gradually. Mr. Speaker, again, they inherited a country where, in fact, President Mahama is one of the luckiest presidents in the world.
Your predecessor left a roadmap, completely had gone through a comprehensive review of Accra flooding situation. The Honorable Asenso Boachi, in his statement, clearly enumerated the number of projects initiated under the Akufo-Addo administration. Today, the NDC that took pride, solace, and comfort in politicizing every flood situation in Ghana from 2017 to 2024 is today playing the role of John Paul II, our Pope, late, and behaving as if Ghana only started in 2017. Mr. Speaker, behind the statistics we see on TV are human lives being lost. People have lost their livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, somebody might have gone for a 2,000 CD loan. Today, that money is gone. I have seen a wonderful video of my good friend Felix Kwachofosu during the floods with his staff when they were cheering you on in your jersey, Ghana jersey. People were dying around that time, my brother. Again, Mr. Speaker, when the rain started, I can pardon Felix. I can pardon Felix when he's coming from a background of not knowing how this whole rain started. Mr. Speaker, he was in the US maybe when the rain started. But people have lost their livelihoods. Press conferences won't desilt our gutters. Press conferences won't solve the problems of our poor drainage system. In fact, as Asensu stated, the Honorable Asensu Boachi stated, where the NDC used to have their headquarters, before God being so good, they were able to move to a plush area around Adabraka. The Nima Paloma Odona drains. It was under the NPP that we clearly initiated and fixed that issue. We started that of the Buzia N1 highway, the drainage system. South Kaneshi started under the NPP. We, in fact, under the Garrett project, we had secured funding and started the project. From January 2025 up to date, all we've been hearing, press conferences, committees, and today I'm surprised to see the Minister for Interior here. Because in the government's anti-flood task force, the Minister for Interior is not even part. So who is even managing the flood situation in our country? You put a deputy chief of staff with no compelling controlling role and mandate to coordinate two ministers, that of local government and that of works and housing, a deputy chief of staff. The Minister for Interior, in the midst of the crisis, appeared before Parliament and speaking on behalf of a task force that is not even part. Mr. Speaker, I clearly believe that this is the time that we need leadership. Leadership is not a team sport. When you are elected to lead, you lead. This is not the time for settings, PR, bloggers, patrolling left, right, and center because government wants to score political points. We need answers.